Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to News 3 Now live at 4 on this Tuesday. Got a lot of tomatoes laying around the house?
Yeah, oh, this is the time. They're popping like popcorn. Nutritionist Donna Weihoffen is here today. She'll make very good use of them in several new recipes.
I love tomatoes, especially fresh ones.
Especially now. They're really good. They're savoring this summer weather. Doesn't it feel good today?
Well, it's a little sticky for me.
It's a little warm, but...
We'll get to the weather in just a bit, but first, here's what's making news on this Tuesday. The young man says he feels guilty about accusing a retired priest of sexual assault. Rose Schmidt was in the Jefferson County courtroom for the testimony today. President
Trump fires his latest national security advisor. What caused the departure?
And state lawmakers want to help pay for recovering and identifying tens of thousands of American soldiers still missing in action.
Let's take a look outside today. Warm and humid. Little last gasp of summer hanging on.
Kind of like July out there today. Still warm, still humid. And this one walked to work today, Dana Fulton's in the backyard, but not from your house.
I did, no, not from my house. My house is too far, but if you saw someone in a floppy sun hat walking from the Princeton Club down Raymond Road, that was definitely me. It was a 100% chance that was me. I didn't see any other sun hats. It's a little muggy outside. A few isolated showers. I did get to feel some drizzle on my skip into work today, but right now we just have a cloudy sky, and things should actually stay dry for this evening and the early part of the overnight. I can't say the same as we head into Wednesday morning, though. As far as our precipitation totals from last night, we had some very, very heavy rain come through. A lot of areas, that bright red color that you see, over 3 inches of accumulation. Most of Dane County, right around 1 inch of accumulation. And then the further east, those numbers die down quite a bit, but to the west, a lot. We're sitting at 80 right now in Madison, 82 in Janesville. It is warm outside, and compared to this time yesterday, it's quite a jump. In the last 24 hours, we've warmed up about 14 degrees in the Dells. That warm front certainly slid over, and now we're dealing with a little bit of a southwest breeze, about 10 miles per hour in Lone Rock, and it's going to stay a little breezy overnight. Again, we will see some more showers and thunderstorms pop up overnight, that unsettled pattern continuing. In fact, our weather headlines really haven't changed much as we look ahead to Wednesday and Thursday. But we will take a closer look at when the cool down slides in for us in just a few minutes. Right now on the roads, as we look at the Beltline and Park Street, both east and westbound, as usual around this time, thankfully moving along pretty okay. I don't have any accidents to report right now. Speeds along the eastbound side only start to slow down after John Nolan. Westbound looks all good right now. Around Prairie du Sac and Sauk City, all looks fine this evening. From Janesville to the Beltline, it'll take you 27 minutes, 16 minutes to get from Sauk City to Middleton, and from Sun Prairie to downtown, just about 15 minutes on this cloudy and sticky evening. I think you guys said it best. It does kind of feel like we're back in summer right now, as a lot of folks are kind of waiting for fall to get here.
Yeah, those storms last night, too, boy.
Oh, yeah,
quite a lightning show coming through.
All right, hopefully we'll have a full night's sleep tonight.
Hopefully. We'll talk about those shower chances, though, here in just a little bit.
All right, we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Dana. New at 4, we're hearing for the first time from the man who says a retired Catholic priest sexually assaulted him.
Father William Nolan faces 6 felony counts of second-degree sexual assault of a child. Our Rose Schmidt is live from the Jefferson County Courthouse for day 2 of this trial. Rose?
The accuser took the stand today describing at least 100 times when he says Nolan sexually assaulted him, but the defense says the details of his story keep changing. The alleged victim, now in his 20s, says when he was in middle school, he was an altar boy at St. Joseph's Catholic Church in Fort Atkinson, and Nolan was his priest. The alleged victim says he developed a crush on Nolan, and the two would have sexual encounters in different locations throughout the church, at Nolan's home, and even in public places starting in 2006. He says he decided to report the allegations after watching the movie Spotlight, but says it was a difficult thing to do because he did not want to get Nolan in trouble.
Part of me did feel guilty for doing it because of how willing may be the wrong word to use, but because I also sought it out. So I felt bad getting a man in trouble who I did not hate or did not dislike. So I felt bad.
At one point, you told Detective Hefty it occurred after he took you out to dinner at Denny's in Janesville, after the ski trip? Yes?
Yeah.
At one point, you told Detective Hefty that it occurred in his office before you went on the ski trip that day? So yes?
Yeah.
That was Nolan's attorney, who used cross-examination aiming to poke holes in the accuser's testimony. He says the dates when the alleged victim says he and Nolan had sex do not add up, and used multiple examples where details he described changed, including a sexual encounter on a ski trip. The alleged victim's mom and dad also testified this morning. We are also expecting to hear from the principal at St. Joseph's Catholic School, where the alleged victim went to school.
All right, the trial continues tomorrow. Rose Schmidt reporting live from Jefferson. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. A woman is dead and a 5-year-old boy critically injured after her car crashed into a dump truck in Rock County. It happened along County Highway B at Highway N. Deputies say the 29-year-old woman went through a stop sign and hit a dump truck, throwing both herself and the 5-year-old out of the car. A 2-month-old was also in the vehicle but was not injured.
Dane County Sheriff's deputies arrested a couple after they were found slumped inside a running car in the town of Vienna, the victims of an apparent overdose. 24-year-old Kenneth Ackerman and 26-year-old Amber Ackerman of Friendship are being charged with possession of heroin. A passerby called 911 after spotting the car with its brake lights on in the parking lot of a restaurant on County Highway V. A 2-year-old daughter was discovered in the back seat. She is now in Adams County Child Protective Services.
President Trump has forced out National Security Advisor John Bolton over policy disagreements on major issues like North Korea and Afghanistan. Nicole Killian has more from the White House.
John Bolton was spotted at the White House Tuesday morning, shortly before President Trump announced he was out as National Security Advisor. The president tweeted, "I informed John Bolton last night that his services are no longer needed at the White House. I disagreed strongly with many of his suggestions, as did others in the administration, and therefore I asked John for his resignation, which was given to me this morning."
John Bolton's priorities and policies just don't line up with the president's, and any sitting president has the right to put someone in that position that can carry out his agenda.
Bolton tweeted that he was the one who offered his resignation. The disagreement between Bolton and the president over the details of his departure comes after the National Security Advisor's reported disapproval of the president's planned talks with the Taliban at Camp David just days before 9/11.
In terms of advisors, I took my own advice.
The president canceled those talks this weekend after a Taliban bomb killed 12, including a U.S. soldier.
Bolton worked in both Bush administrations and has been a strong hawk on national security issues. He disagreed with President Trump's North Korea talks and favored military strikes on Iran.
The personal relationship between the president and National Security Advisor is important.
It wasn't just the president. Bolton clashed with other members of the national security team, including Secretary of State Mike Pompeo.
There were definitely places that Bolton and I had different views about how we should proceed.
Bolton was President Trump's third national security advisor since taking office. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
Charles Kupperman, a defense industry executive who served in the Reagan administration, will serve as acting national security advisor for now. The president says he will name a full-time replacement next week.
Voters in a North Carolina congressional district are casting ballots today in a special election that will test President Trump's clout ahead of 2020. The race pits Dan McCready, a Democrat and Marine veteran, against Dan Bishop, a Republican state senator who has been endorsed by President Trump. The president campaigned with Bishop last night in Fayetteville, just hours before the polls opened. The 9th district covers parts of Charlotte and has not been represented by a Democrat since the early 1960s. President Trump won it by 12 percentage points back in 2016.
Congress is back in session with a renewed push on gun control.
We do, in fact, await word from the White House about what the president is willing to sign.
No one's political survival is more important than the survival of our children.
House Democrats are keeping up the pressure with a gun violence forum on Capitol Hill.
You know, the worst part of my job is having to walk into those waiting rooms and look at those parents, some of which we have here behind us today, and tell them that their child is never coming home.
Republican Senator Pat Toomey is trying to revive his bipartisan bill with Democrat Joe Manchin, an effort that failed after the Sandy Hook shooting. But it's still not clear whether the president will get behind a background check bill, and Republicans appear divided.
A fiery train derailment in southern Illinois has led to evacuations around the crash. 16 train cars derailed near Dupo, Illinois. That's just south of St. Louis. One containing a flammable liquid exploded, sending emitting flames and thick black smoke into the air. A Union Pacific spokeswoman said that smoke does not pose a significant health hazard, but students at 3 nearby schools were evacuated as a precaution to a high school farther away. Police also said a few hundred residents of a mobile home park and a subdivision near the tracks have also been evacuated. Well, more than 80,000 American service members are still reported as missing in action.
1,500 of them are from Wisconsin, and now a new bill would help fund recovery efforts. Eric Franke is here now with more details. Eric?
Susan and Mark, the UW is home to the first group of researchers who have partnered with the Department of Defense to help identify those missing in action. And now this new bipartisan measure would fund the Wisconsin MIA Recovery and Identification Project. It is a costly and painstaking process. The goal is to recover the remains of 1 to 3 MIA service members from Wisconsin each year.
The United States is the only country in the world that has a designated department to find our missing in action. And now with this bill, Wisconsin will be the only state in that country that has a designated funding source and statutory language to help out our University of Wisconsin to support these efforts.
To know that that sacrifice was not made in vain, that people are still looking, that people are still honoring it, it's humbling now to just be a part of it.
Now, of those 1,500 service members missing from Wisconsin, 40 of them are from Madison. If the bipartisan measure is passed, it would be for 2 years. Then it'll be reassessed after that. The UW MIA RIP program started in 2015, relying a lot since then on student volunteers. Mark and Susan.
All right, Eric Franke, thank you.
You're welcome.
Coming up next at 4, chaos over Brexit.
Military police had to escort members of the British Parliament out of the chambers. We'll find out why when Live at 4 continues.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
The debate over the UK's departure from the European Union turned chaotic in British Parliament last night.
One of the longest sessions in the history of Parliament ended early this morning with military police escorting members out. The government suspended Parliament and is sending it away for 5 weeks so a new legislative program can be prepared. Critics say it's an attempt to silence debate on Brexit and to allow the country to slide towards a no-deal split from the European Union. But the government insists the suspension is constitutional and normal for a new administration.
This government will not delay Brexit any further.
This government is a disgrace, and the way the Prime Minister operates is a disgrace.
Lawmakers will return to Parliament for a Queen's speech in mid-October, little more than 2 weeks before the Brexit deadline is set to expire.
Well, Apple's new iPhones unveiled today resemble recent models, but with better cameras and new colors. Apple CEO Tim Cook announced the new phone today in Cupertino, California. The most expensive models, the iPhone 11 Pro and iPhone 11 Pro Max, will now have 3 cameras on the back, including a new wider angle one to squeeze more of the landscape into the picture. They start at $1,000, the same as before. The cheaper model, called the iPhone 11, will start at $700. It now gets 2 lenses instead of 1. The lower price reverses a trend in which premium phones get more expensive as people upgrade them less often. Stocks closed mostly higher on Wall Street. The Dow Industrials added almost 74 points for its 5th straight gain. That marks the longest win streak in 3 months. The Nasdaq, however, lost 3. The S&P 500 was up almost a point. Our 34th annual Coats for Kids campaign is underway.
34 years.
It's amazing.
I cannot believe that. If you have any gently used winter gear that your family has outgrown, you can donate it to help families in our area stay warm this winter. Clinky Cleaners generously cleans all of the donated winter gear, and the Community Action Coalition helps with the distribution.
Bridget Weber of the CAC joins us from Clinky's on Cahill, Maine in Fitchburg. Bridget, thanks for being with us today.
Bridget.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
In case people are new to this area, this is the 34th year, but people move all the time. Tell us how this works.
Yeah, so essentially people can donate new or gently used coats, hats, really any winter items. We put out barrels this year to collect boots as well because we've found that was also a need each year. So really we're relying on donations from the community, and so people can drop off any winter items, coats primarily, to any Clinky Cleaners location, and then they drop them off at Community Action Coalition, and we run a distribution. This year it's going to be from October 15th through November 7th.
What kinds of things specifically are you looking for?
Yeah, I would say high needs items are actually a lot of children's coats. We seem to get about 30% kids' coats each year, and so that's always just like, we like to note that we always need more kids' coats. And plus sizes seem to be another higher need.
And we call it Coats for Kids, but it's also adult coats that you need too.
That's right, yes. We need coats of all sizes and yeah, all around.
It's always one of the most inspiring days of the year to see the distribution, because really your winter gear, kids grow out of it so fast. Absolutely. And there's still a lot of use in it, right?
Yes, a lot of youth, you said?
That's right.
Yeah, there's a lot of families with children in Dane County that are experiencing poverty. According to the latest statistics, there's around 100,000 children under the age of 18 who are in households experiencing poverty, so there is certainly a lot of need in our community, so it's a great collaboration between the community to come out for them and show support for the needs that we have in our community right now.
Do you have to set a certain standard to get a coat, or can anyone get it?
So our clothing center is open to individuals and families who meet poverty guidelines, and you can find those guidelines on our website under the clothing center. So essentially it's just meeting those income guidelines, and anyone then can come into our clothing center, just present any form of ID. That can be a license, a medical card, insurance card, or if you have referral from another agency or case manager that you work with, then please come in and we will definitely help you find what you're looking for.
Let's make the 34th year the best of all. Bridget, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Bridget. Great to see you.
Thank you so much. Yep.
Again, drop off any coats and other winter goods at any Klinke Cleaners locations.
Still to come tonight, coming up tonight at 5, Janesville residents could see their water bills doubling. We'll tell you why city officials say that's necessary. That's coming up at 5.
We'll take a look at this. Eric Adam decided to get over his fear of heights by jumping out of a plane. It didn't go well. Eric passes out just a few seconds into his first ever skydive over California. After roughly 10 seconds, he regains consciousness and immediately starts screaming and realizing his nightmare isn't over. Just moments after the parachute is pulled, the lights go out again.
Oh, no.
He eventually snaps out of it. Finally, the instructor tells him to pull down his goggles, and wouldn't you know it, he faints a third time. We're not sure if this helped him get over his fear of heights.
We're really selling it, aren't we?
That's hilarious.
How did he get to this point is what I don't understand.
Right. Who convinced him to get on the plane?
He couldn't even go on a roller coaster. It was too high.
Who paid him to get on that plane?
Well, maybe he thought this would get him over.
Right.
You know, get him over.
I don't know if there was a second jump or not.
No, probably not.
I'm sure not.
I'm sure not.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of heights, and I've jumped out, I've skydove before, and it was terrifying. I screamed the whole way down. So I don't know why he thought that was a good idea. I could watch that video all day, though. I thought that was
makes for a good story.
It does. I said,
I feel bad for him.
I'm sorry.
This really tickled her fancy.
This is his face. Okay.
All right, to the later.
Yes, it's a little muggy outside right now.
Very sticky.
It's just a little sticky, a little cloudy too. We have more rain coming in, unfortunately, for the next several days. Heavy rain possible at times, but we'll look at your future watch, the Futurecast, right after the break. A little bit of sunshine today, but mostly cloudy and a few showers actually coming through this afternoon. So it does feel a little more like the middle of August rather than the middle of September. We're at 80 degrees right now in Madison, well above average with our dew points in the mid 60s. So it does feel a little muggy again. That breeze coming from the southwest at just about 5 miles per hour. Now, right now, our Doppler track is quiet, but we have had a few light showers pop up this afternoon. The rest of the evening, though, should stay pretty quiet. And for the first half of the night, we're looking at a pretty quiet setup. Later on, though, the chance for showers and thunderstorms will continue into Wednesday and pick up for Thursday and Friday. In fact, this cold front off to the north, unfortunately, isn't going to pass through and cool us down. Instead, it's going to sink a little south and then kind of hover for a little bit, bouncing back up as a warm front turning into a stationary front, bringing a lot of unsettled weather just right across that line, stretching through northern Iowa, southern Minnesota, and into southern Wisconsin. We're expecting the chance for showers and thunderstorms for Wednesday and Thursday, and periods of very heavy rainfall coming through for us also over the next several days. So we'll keep that in mind as we head through the rest of the work week. The good news, though, as we head into Friday, it is going to be a little bit nicer outside. Overall, that high pressure behind it, of course, not getting an opportunity to ridge on in because of the rain chances. Off to the west today, we do have the chance for some stronger thunderstorms. Again, nothing for us
for tonight, but tomorrow there is a marginal risk for severe weather to pop on up. Again, the main threat is the possibility for some really strong heavy wind gusts and heavy rainfall at times with some of these thunderstorms, similar to what we had to deal with early this morning. For Thursday, that marginal risk is mainly for the western edge of the state, a slight risk into Iowa, as again we will see showers and thunderstorms pop on up later in the day. We're dry for the next few hours. Shower chances early on Wednesday. A lot of the heavier rain is going to stay to the north, but you can see the wind converging there right along our stationary front. Showers and thunderstorms pick up for Wednesday afternoon, and then the same thing happens on Thursday afternoon. As those storms finally roll on through, it's going to lead us into a clearing sky and a dry sky by Friday and Saturday. Overnight temperatures will fall into the upper 60s. Really not looking at much of a cool down to start off the day tomorrow, and in the afternoon, with a chance for some showers and thunderstorms, it is going to be a little warm outside again in the mid to low 80s, with that humidity being a factor for the afternoon on Wednesday and for Thursday. Wednesday night into Thursday morning, we have shower chances coming on up, and Thursday afternoon and evening, more rain expected to slide on through. And of course, a good idea just to keep an eye on the radar over the next several days, as our rain chances could be a little heavier at times. Overnight temps won't drop much due to that mostly cloudy sky. Thankfully, though, our breeze will calm down a little bit overnight, though it could pick up for times early tomorrow morning. If we do have any stronger thunderstorms come up. A mostly cloudy sky, those thunderstorms will develop by early on Wednesday. Wednesday, plan on a high of about 82 degrees. In Madison, mostly cloudy sky with showers and thunderstorms scattered throughout the afternoon. Temperatures closer to the state line will be in the mid 80s tomorrow. With those dew points, it could feel like the upper 80s at times. We'll stay in the 80s for Thursday with scattered showers and thunderstorms likely on Thursday also. For Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we get to enjoy a partly sunny sky. We finally get a little bit of a break in the rain for Friday and Saturday. Temperature-wise, will be much closer to average, also in the mid to low 70s for both days. There is going to be a slight chance for showers as we head into Sunday afternoon and evening. Now, for the start of next week, we're back right in the 80s. It seems like a very warm trend actually moving in for the start of next week throughout the Midwest, and the more storm chances for the end of the week will likely cool us back down. But we're just getting a few more
80s
blasts
for September.
of summer. Yes. It's certainly not record-breaking for us right now, but it is very warm outside.
Officially, it's still summer, right?
Still summer. It is still summer. Still got a little more time before we get to fall.
And the snow will be after that.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So you should just enjoy it and savor it and be appreciative. Yeah.
Dana, thank you.
Thank you, Dana. These days, it seems like the name Alexa has become the most common name in millions of homes.
Whether you use an Amazon, Google, or Apple smart speaker, concerns about what these devices are sending back to the mothership are becoming more widespread.
Josh Spreiter and Consumer Reports take a look at just how concerned you should be and what you can do to control your digital privacy with these connected devices.
Eric Ree and his family love using their smart speaker.
Hey Google, what's the weather?
It's 75 with rain.
They enjoyed their first digital assistant so much they decided that one wasn't enough.
I believe we have 5.
But when it comes to how these connected devices work, Eric has some concerns, especially when it comes to the privacy of his 2 young daughters.
I am concerned down the line when they start having conversations with friends and those conversations get recorded. I wonder if that somehow impacts their privacy.
Amazon, Apple, and Google all say they take steps to protect their users' privacy, but all 3 companies also confirmed to Consumer Reports that they have teams listening to recordings of people using their voice commands and interfaces.
Companies like Amazon and Google have a ton of consumer data, and they're using that data to make their products better. They're constantly working to improve their AI by having both people listen to the recordings and also through machine learning and technology.
The companies say they use those recordings to improve how their smart speakers work. So what should you do if you're one of the millions of consumers who own a smart speaker?
If you turn off those speakers when you're not using them, you don't have to worry as much. But you also can go through and just spot check your recordings. If you hear something that you don't want them to hear, you can delete it.
One thing to note, when you alter the privacy settings, you might be giving up some of the functionality of the device. As for Eric Ree, he'll continue to enjoy his smart speakers for now, but will use them smartly and safely. With this Consumer Reports, I'm Josh Spreiter, News 3 Now.
Earlier this year, Amazon announced it would be introducing new controls to make it easier for Amazon Alexa users to delete records of their conversations with the digital assistant.
Among the improvements, the company says will be a new online privacy hub.
Raises important questions.
Yeah, it really does. It's always listening.
Yeah.
Alexa, stop. Just send off the Alexas all over the thing. All over the
Well, you could just say, Alexa, read the next script.
Still to come at 4. If you're like a lot of gardeners, your kitchen is probably full of ripe tomatoes.
Nutritionist Donna Weihoffen is here today with some great recipes you'll want to try. That's when Live at 4 continues.
Here's a live look at Langdon Street. Kind of quiet there today. There goes somebody on the bike. Kind of muggy day out there. Good tomato ripening weather. This is the time of year when tomatoes are popping like popcorn in the garden.
Nutritionist Donna Weihoffen is here with some new recipes. Hi, Donna.
I do have some recipes, and they're just kind of the things you might have in your pantry. So they're not hard to make. Nothing fancy.
Tomatoes are versatile, and they're very good for you,
right? They are vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin A, and it has lycopene in it. What makes the tomato red, the pigment itself, is called lycopene, and that's a big cancer fighter. So the redder your tomato, the better it is.
Oh, great.
As that's a ziti. That's a little casserole with penne pasta and Italian sausage and spinach. And I also use petite diced tomatoes. I think they're much better than the big whole ones. So that's a pretty easy recipe to do.
And the canned tomatoes have all the good stuff in them?
Yes, absolutely, they do. You don't have to peel them. If you have them yourself, that's great, and then you can do it. But also, I like to seed them if I have them, because otherwise the dish gets too juicy. So cut them and seed them. And then tomato basil soup. My husband loves tomato basil soup. So I was experimenting, and I used either the diced tomatoes, or I found canned whole peeled tomatoes. I think they should be peeled, because the peeling doesn't puree very well. So make sure if you use fresh tomatoes, you peel them.
This is delicious.
This is really good.
Yeah.
How did you make it?
Well, this one has a little bit of Italian basil and Italian seasoning and the tomatoes. It has chicken broth in it and white pepper.
Your favorite secret ingredient.
White pepper. And of course the basil. And so that
very good.
It's really tasty.
Did you just use it with like a hand blender to?
My immersion blender.
Yeah, to mix it up.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah.
All right, what's this guy here?
Okay, now this is your hamburger tomato pie. Last time I made a sweet pie for you. This time I'm making a savory pie. And I'm taking a pie crust, which I have pre-baked. You can see that I've baked it ahead of time. Otherwise, this crust would be too soggy. You put a little mustard on the bottom of your pie crust. Last time I was making that peach pie, and I put a peach puree on it. So this is mustard on the bottom.
Dijon?
Yes, that's a good one. And what I did was cook up some ground beef and some onions, and you can put that on the bottom. So this is going to be your hamburger. Spread it around. And on top of that, we're going to put a little bit of cheese, some like shredded cheese.
What kind of cheese did you use?
Well, I'm using some Italian cheeses, or you can use mozzarella, any kind of cheese you like. And then the secret, the tomatoes. So take thin little slices of this kind of a tomato.
Like a Roma?
Like a Roma. And put that all around the top and make it like this. And on top of that, then, I have a mixture of egg and milk. I won't put it on right now because that'll be messy. But this egg and milk and a little bit of half and half. Just the skim milk by itself is a little bit not quite as good as if you add a little bit of half and half. So it's kind of like half milk and half and half.
And this is it, the final product?
That's it. And you bake, you'll put this on top and a little bit more cheese on top.
But you don't have a crust on the top.
No, no crust on top. Yummy, isn't it?
It is good.
That's very good.
Yeah. And the good thing about this one, too, it warms up beautifully. If you don't eat the whole thing, you can cut the pieces and just put them in the microwave.
30 seconds.
Oh, that's good enough. I've got a pasta salad there. The pasta salad has black beans and corn in it, and you can use canned corn or fresh corn. But the dressing is what makes it. And the secret to this dressing, it has olive oil in it, but the secret is it has Parmesan cheese in the dressing.
It is really fresh.
So the Parmesan cheese, a touch of honey to sweeten it, a touch of Worcestershire sauce, and it's a very special dressing. There's lots of pasta salads, but this one I really like.
It's really good.
Yeah, I like it.
And this is sort of the Mediterranean diet in a bowl, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's all the good things.
And I thought maybe with the leftovers, because you're not going to eat it all, right? Promise? I'm gonna get a rotisserie chicken, and I'm going to add chicken to that, and I might have company.
That's a great idea.
Thursday night, who wants to come?
All right. Great idea. We'll be there.
Watch the debate.
Yeah, exactly. There you
All
go.
the recipes online, channel3000.com. Donna, thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Great to see you.
When we come back, dealing with losses in our lives.
Psychologist Shyla Murgain is here today. She'll run down the stages of loss and grief and how to deal with each one. That's when Live at 4 continues.
No accidents to report at all right now. Always good news, and no major delays either. Both east and westbound moving along just fine. Of course, the eastbound side a little slower. Folks getting a little congested. All the lanes backed up the closer you get to John Nolan. Down to about 20 miles per hour near Fish Hatchery Road. And then, of course, things picking on up the closer you get to 39 and 90 along the Isthmus. Actually, things look just fine. But as you're traveling towards University Avenue into Middleton, a little slower this evening. Around Prairie du Sac and Sauk City, a little slower. Heading into Sauk City on 14, but then, of course, things clear on up as you're heading up towards Baraboo. About 26 minutes to get from Janesville to the Beltline. 16 minutes from Sauk City to Middleton, and the drive from Sun Prairie to downtown a little longer than usual. It'll take you about 19 minutes this evening. That's a quick look at traffic.
All right, Jenna, thank you. Don't tell Logan Aldridge he can't do something. He's tearing up at the gym with only one arm, lifting 200 pounds. Logan's left and dominant arm was amputated after a wakeboarding accident when he was just 13. Since the incident, he's gone on to become an athlete, an author, a motivational speaker, and Guinness World Record holder. Logan says, ironically, losing an arm led to a most remarkable life.
That is so inspiring.
It really is.
Wow.
And in every life, there is loss at some point.
Yeah, that's true. Whether it's the loss of a job, a loved one, or dealing with an unexpected serious illness, we don't do grieving very well in our culture, but there are healthy and effective ways to grieve and to come to terms with loss. UW Health distinguished psychologist Shyla Mergain is back with us. Hi, Shyla, good to see you.
Oh, it's great to be back.
So this is something no one can avoid. It'll happen to all of us at some point.
Losing a job, losing a loved one,
so
losing a pet.
what are the benefits of doing grief work or learning some of these strategies?
Absolutely. You know, unresolved grief can cause complications like sleep disturbance or appetite disturbance. It kind of dampens our life energy, and our relationships suffer. And as you said, we don't tend to do grief very well. When people are coming into my office and you kind of go through what they're going through, often at the root of it is unresolved grief. So I want to talk about some simple strategies people can use to really do some grief work so you move through it. I think grief is like a river. You don't want to shove it away and dam it up, or you don't want to freeze by numbing out. Instead, you want to flow through it and in the process really transform yourself.
6 stages of grief.
Yes, so when people are experiencing a loss, they go through some typical stages. The first one is denial or disbelief, saying this can't be happening to me, and this is actually the mind protecting ourselves against having to process it all at once. The second stage then is anger. We feel like, why is this happening to me? This shouldn't be happening to me. And that's kind of our response to that pain, and there can be that blame. The next stage is bargaining. We start to make deals. Maybe this will go away if only I'm a better person, or give more money to charity. And in this stage, there often is some guilt around the should-haves, could-haves, if-onlys. And then we often go into depression, where we start to feel some sadness around the loss, and that's often a time where the tears flow. All of which goes to acceptance, where we're ready to move forward with our life, integrating what has just happened. And there's actually a 6th stage that I think is very interesting that can really help people with grief, and that's making meaning. That despite what I went through, there's something I can make of this, or some good I can do as a result of it, or make a difference or help others.
In order to heal through a loss, do you have to go through all 6 of the stages? Is it a process, or can you get to acceptance? Is there a shortcut?
I wish there was a shortcut, but yeah, I think you're right that people don't go through it in a linear fashion, and some people will skip certain stages. Everyone's unique, and it's their own process. But there are 3 things I want to mention that can really help people flow through, like a river, through those stages. The first is to just carve out some time to feel. Feel that anger, feel that sadness, feel that guilt. That allows you to start to flow through it. Second, use journaling. You can write out your thoughts or feelings. You can even write a letter to the person you lost, and even write a letter back from that person to you if it's a death. And think about writing with your non-dominant hand, because that allows you to tap into other parts of your brain.
Oh, that's
and then the third thing is just self-care. Eat well, sleep well, surround yourself with supportive people, get professional help if you need to. If you find yourself so stuck in a rut or overwhelmed with guilt, don't be afraid of talking to a psychologist or even clergy member.
What would you say to a friend who's going through this, suffering loss? What do you say when What can you say? What shouldn't you say?
Oh, that's a great question. First, don't say, oh, you'll get over it, or, you know, there's a reason this happened, or even compare a loss that you had to theirs. Instead, there are a few effective things you can say. First, you could say, I'm so sorry you're going through this. What can I do to help? I'm here for you. I care about you. Second, if it's a death, share some memories you have about that loved one who's passed away. And lastly, just saying, I'll keep you in my thoughts, or I'll keep you in my prayers if that's appropriate to you. That kind of language can really provide comfort to people when they're going through grief, and also a sense of hope that they're not having to go through it alone.
Yeah, we all have to go through it at some point.
We do.
Good advice, Shala. Thank you for the tips.
Thank you, Shala. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back with a final check of your forecast. It's too sticky.
Oh, it's so humid.
Muggy.
We were just saying it's a bad hair day.
Bad hair day.
And she walked to work, and look at how great she looks.
Dry shampoo. It was a little muggy outside, but I did have a light shower to cool me down. We did have some showers this afternoon, and now we do have some cloud coverage overhead. A few pockets of sunshine, but overall, unfortunately, not a crystal clear sky. Again, our Doppler track should stay quiet through the rest of this evening, though we did have a lot of rain come through last night. Isolated areas picking up over 3.5 inches, though most of Dane County and most of actually southern Wisconsin right around an inch of accumulation. Right now, it's very warm outside, 80 in Madison, 84 in Bosqueville and in Janesville. Compared to this time yesterday, it is quite a jump. So if you're hoping for a last blast of summer, here it is. Our breeze coming from the southwest currently. And then as we head into the next few days, plan on this pattern just continuing for Wednesday and Thursday.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll be right back. Thank you, Dana.
Mm-hmm.
There's